Alright, today we're going to talk about function notation. And function notation is really just a fancy way we have of explaining inputting something into an equation and getting an output. So first of all, you all recognize these as equations. This is what we've seen as an equation. Okay, we know that something like y equals 3x minus 8 is an equation. A function looks very similar to an equation. It's just that it's written a little bit differently. You'll notice that this says f and then an x in parentheses. This x represents the x that's inside here. This is just telling us that f of x, h of x, g of x. A function can be written with any of these letters. It does not matter which letter you use. You can use F, H, or G. You can write with any of these letters. Let's just first of all talk about what a function is. So a function has to do with an input and an output table. You have probably more commonly thought of this as an X, Y table, like we would see with point. What it's saying is, let's say we put a number like 2 into this function 3x minus 8. If we put it into this function, and we did, 3 times 2, which is 6, minus 8, we get negative 2. That's our output. A function is just saying we put one number in, and we get an output out. Another way of seeing that is to think of a vending machine. So let's say that this is a vending machine. And to get something in a vending machine, you have to enter a code. That is your input. Once you've entered your code into your vending machine, out comes chips. That is your output. The thing that makes this vending machine work, though, or the thing that gives you chips, is the vending machine. So the vending machine itself is your function. It is the thing that changes your code into chips. In the same way that I might have a number 3, and I might have a function like 2x plus 2. If I put 3 into my function, and I do 3 times 2, which is 6, plus 2, and get 8, which is my output, I put my input into my function and gotten my output. That's the basic idea of a function, and it'll make a little bit more sense as we keep going. Okay, so first of all, how do we write things in function notation? So you can write things as f of something, g of something, or h of something. Any of those are fine. What's important is that the letter that goes in here, the variable that goes inside here, is the variable in your equation that we are talking about. So let's do this first example. I'm just going to write f of, and then I'm going to look on the other side of my equal sign. I'm replacing my y with f of, and I have a 5x plus 12. Since this variable is an x, this is rewritten as f of x. For this next one, I'm going to use f of again. So I'm going to write f of 9x plus 9. Since this variable inside here is an x, this will be an x, f of x. Let's do one more. I'm going to use g this time. G of 3x plus 2x minus 8. Since this variable here is an x, I'm going to use g of x. Let me give you one more example. If I were to give you something like b is equal to 2w plus 3 plus 4w. I'll use h of x this time. H of, not h of x. And I'm going to look. I have 2w plus 3 plus 4w. Inside of here, I need to put the variable that's over on the right-hand side. So I'm going to put a w. This would be h of w. So go ahead, take a minute, and I want you to try these 4 practice problems. Pause the video. When you're ready, press resume so you can see the answers. Okay. Now, here are the answers. There's a couple of things I want you to notice. First of all, I've used f of x f of and whatever the variable was on all of these examples. You could have also had g of if you wanted to instead of, or h of. Either one of those are fine. The other important thing to see is that your variable that is here matches what is here. These two things need to match. So x and x, x and x, d and d, w and w. Make sure that those match each other. Alright, so let's talk about how to solve problems that are in function notation. So when we evaluate something, it is like, if we go back to our vending machine idea, here's our vending machine. We have this vending machine and its function is f of x equals 2x plus 5. In this first example, we are going to put into our input, we are going to put into our function f of negative 3 input. And we're going to find out what comes out. What is the output that comes out when we put negative 3 into here? So the way we're going to write this is we're going to say f of negative 3 equals 2x plus 5. I just rewrote this by replacing the negative 3 with x. Now, notice that the x was replaced by negative 3. What that means is that we're going to replace every x in this side of the equation with a negative 3. Now, a common mistake a lot of us make is this is just a formatting thing. This f of 3 will always stay. So what I do is I put a box around it so that I remember to keep it. I'm not going to do anything with it. So I have f of negative 3 equals 2 times plus 5. X is negative 3. And now I'm going to simplify. F of negative 3, I'm going to keep this box around it so I know not to do anything in it. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. And negative 6 plus 5 is negative 1. So f of negative 3 is negative 1. A lot of times what students will do is they will try at the end to get f by itself. This is just a formatting thing. This right here, it stays like that. F of 3 is what's telling us that at this function, at negative 3 in this function, the output is negative 1. The other thing we want to do is make sure that we can write in words what this means. So first of all, what this function right here is saying is that the function evaluated at x is x. So the function evaluated at x is x. What our answer is saying is the function evaluated, evaluated at negative 3 is negative 1. So we're saying that when we put into our function negative 3, our input is negative 3, our output is negative 1. So let's do another example. We have the same function, f of x equals 2x plus 5, but now we're going to evaluate it f of 1 plus 4. So whatever is inside the parenthesis is what goes in for your x. If there's anything on the outside, we do that last. So this, something like this, is done last. So I'm just going to start out with f of 1. And I know my function is 2x plus 5. Remember, this is going to be kept. So I'm going to rewrite f of 1, put a box around it, so remember to keep it. 2, and every time I see an x, I'm going to evaluate the function at 1. Two times 1 is 2. So f of 1 is 7. Now, in this example, we're not done yet because we still need to find what f of 1 plus 4 is. So let's see, f of 1 plus 4. Well, f of 1 was 7. Plus 4 gives me 11. So the way we can write this is that f of 1 plus 4 equals 11. If we wanted to write out what this means in words, we would say the function, and you should always write it out in words. Evaluated at 1 and then plus 4 is 11. So let's do a couple more examples. Let's take f of x equals 2x plus 5. Again, you remember, this is our function. We're evaluating our function at x plus 4. All of this is inside parentheses, so all of this will go in for x. So if I say f of x plus 4 is equal to 2x plus 5. Now I'm going to put this in for x. And remember, this is going to stay. That's part of the formatting. F of x plus 4 equals 2, I'm going to put a big parentheses, and in for my x, I'm going to put in an x plus 4. Now let's simplify. Two times x is 2x. 2 times 4 is 8. And then on the end, I'm going to have a plus 5. Let's go ahead and simplify. Remember to keep your f of x plus 4. Can I combine any terms? An 8 and a 5 can be combined. I have 2x plus 13. So my function, and how I would write my answer, is f of x plus 4 is 2x plus 13. In words, this can be written as the function evaluated at x plus 4 is 2x plus 13. Alright, I want you to try these 3 practice problems. When you're ready, press pause now, try them, and then when you're ready, press play, and you can see the answers and a little quick explanation. Okay, on this first one, there was one typo I want you to fix. Change this to a square. The formatting got messed up. On this first one, we should have had h of negative 2 equals, we should have put negative 2n for every z. So now, what that's going to look like is h of negative 2 equals, and your final answer should have been, sorry, that 4 didn't work. Your final answer should have been negative 2. H of negative 2 is negative 2. In words, you should have written the function evaluated at, the function evaluated at, oh, I'm sorry, this is a positive 2. Looking back at my notes. The function evaluated at negative 2 is 2. Negative 2 is 2. Alright, on our second example, we should have substituted a 3a in. So if our function originally was z squared plus 3z plus 4, we should have said, okay, h of 3a is going to be 3a squared plus 3 times 3a plus 4. Now, we haven't talked about exponents yet, but when you have a 2 on the outside of a term, you need to apply the square to both. So 3 squared is 9, a squared is a squared. Then you'll have 3 times 3a, which is 9a, and 4. None of this can be simplified, so our answer is h of 3a is 9a squared plus 9 plus 4. Or we could write the function evaluated at 3a is 9a squared plus 9a plus 4. And then our last example is a little bit tricky, but you have the function up here, and then you have hn. Remember that you're looking for what's inside these parentheses here, and that's telling you that anytime you see a z, you should replace it with an n. So the first thing I would do is evaluate h of n. So I had z squared plus 3z plus 4. Let's go ahead and evaluate that. H of n. So instead of a z, I'm going to put in n for every z. And then I'm going to go ahead and simplify, and I'll do that over here so we have a little more room. H of n is going to give me n squared is n squared times 3 times n is 3n plus 4. None of this can be simplified, so this is h of n. Now, our last step was we had to multiply that by 2. It's telling us to multiply what you get for h of n by 2. So I need to do this one more time. And the way I'm going to write that is 2 of h of n. Well, what is h of n? H of n is this. So it's saying 2 times n squared plus 3n plus 4. Give myself a little bit more room. So what is that? Well, I'm going to write my answer as 2 of h of n equals 2 times n is 2n squared, 2 times 3n is 6n, and 2 times 4 is 8. And that is your answer. We could also write it in words as the function evaluated at 2 times h of n is 2n squared plus 6n plus 8. If you are still unsure about functions, please go back and watch the video again and check your work.